Happy New Year. Welcome back to my cake kitchen. I'm Gladys. Over here, we make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate cake decorating easily. And we are back, okay? How is everybody? I don't know when it's here yet, but some of you will show up eventually. It's a great day to be back. We are not baking, just so you know. We have some cakes to get through, some cakes that we need to cut. Tabitha is here. Tabitha, darling. It's snowy. It's snowy out here in England today. So, if you've been here, you know we have a penchant for hoarding. Hoarding cakes. And to stop us from not hoarding the cakes anymore, Steph, darling, Steph, Tabitha, how are you all? Good to have you. Like, I'm going to surprise you. I know I say that, but we are going to be pleasantly surprised in a minute. But right now, we need to visit this monstrosity. Don't worry, I will redeem my name in a minute. Steph, how are you? How is your day? How is the weather where you are? And Tabitha, how is the weather? The weather isn't great here at all. The UK weather is a little bit poopy. It's snowy. Who hates driving in the snow? Okay? I hate driving in the snow. Because your tires be skidding and it's, oh. Right, so we are revisiting this monstrosity. I had all the intention to kind of redo it, but I was like, why should I? And here we are. So we are going to get rid of this, okay? But enter into the chat. I mean, you guys are here. Enter into the chat, our friend here. It's chicken, okay? I don't intend to confuse you. It is chicken. Okay, I made it. It's cake, okay? One of these days, I just thought, I live here with you, like on the lives, but there is a part of this process that has to see me refine my own skills. So I thought I would quietly create this, and I didn't think of bringing it on the live because the live does also involve quite a few things, which is that I have to prep. And then this sort of work takes a lot of focus, which limits interaction. The simple and short reason is I just wanted to do this in my own time without the pressure of being on a live. And you'd be surprised what a bit of just misadventure or adventure. Some coffee. Yeah. Coffee. The brown bits you see is coffee, okay? A McDonald's wonky straw, a barbecue stick, and yeah, some marzipan. You'd be surprised what it can do. And this is what we have. But we are not finished yet because I made this and I thought I will try and catch snippets of it to make a full-length video for you to see how I made it. It's just going to be the highlights. But today you are going to help me cheat, okay? Because after making this, I am not going to waste my time doing the other bits. It's very taxing. So we are going to cheat. And how we are going to cheat, I will tell you in a moment. But anyway, if you're in the chat, tell me what you think cheating is going to look like. Okay, what are we going to cheat? We are going to cheat okay. We'll be back with the chicken. So today we are sort of trying to cheat on a hyper-realistic chicken cake. It's a roast chicken. And then we will cut our friend here. All right, that's aside. How was Christmas? I think it's our first live back in the new year. Here's to more. Here is to some consistent patterns. And here's to some fun times. Are you with me? Okay, so the weather is about, is it Tabitha? For seasons, it's about 58 degrees, and Tabitha is about 37 degree F. So clearly, seasons, you have the better weather, and Tabitha 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. that's still better than what we have here, because what we have here, I don't know what we have here, but it's not snowing. It snowed overnight but it's not heavy snow. If you're in a colder region, you'll probably think I'm being precious, but that is just by the way. So let's try and get through our cake whilst we are catching up on what Christmas has been like for all of you. There is just 4 of us here at the moment. Today we are not doing any baking, and I think, oh, I was going to say this week we are not going to do any baking, but that's not true. Actually, it is true. We are not doing any baking. We are not doing any baking this week. I know we are not, right? So are we not? What am I doing? Look, I will still be here whether we're doing some baking or not. So there is 6 of us here. Realistically, if a cake like this was ordered, can you take a guess how many servings this will be? Put that in the chat. I do like to take a risk a little bit. If it goes flying, that's fine, okay? But a cake like this, how many servings do you think it will be, and how much will it cost? Like, I just want you to put your suggestions in, just so that we can talk about some pricing topics in terms of oh, so Tabitha, you mistyped then. We're talking 20 to 30 degrees, and oh, okay. Can you see what's happened? The cake is sliding. The cake is sliding in real time, because look, Grinch's hair has left Grinch. Okay, so here's what we have. In the meantime, let's stop the sliding from happening. Okay, Tabitha says this will cost £200. Okay, let's see. Who has any more suggestions? How much will Grinch cost? Like, plus the hair and all, except we know Grinch's hair is gone now, isn't it? I'm just trying to slide it back, so bear with me. It will serve 50. It will serve 50 and will cost 120. Okay, that's interesting. I am getting different suggestions there, and we'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about all of that before we cut into it. Steph, I am interested to know, did you say 50 servings? And we're talking just Grinch, by the way. So, oh, okay, Tabitha, your suggestion suggests the cake will serve 25 to 30. Okay, let's go here. Let me get rid of these. So the suggestion is from Tabitha, this cake will serve 25 to 30 and will cost about £200. And for okay, thin cuts. Okay, that's Steph in the chat. And so before we cut into the cake, I normally just want to give some perspective on this, because the subject of cake pricing in terms of how that relates to our industry and individual preferences and businesses, it's a very hot topic on the internet. I don't know if you've made your way to TikTok and a few other platforms. The subject of cake prices can draw a lot of drama, and I don't know why. I really don't. Because whatever the cake costs, as long as it's serving the needs of the customer and serving the needs of the business, I ain't got shit to say to you. Okay? It's really not that deep. But when the subject of cake pricing comes up, if you look at the comment section, people really get riled up about it. So when I make this cake, considering you saw me kind of make this cake right here on the live, I think the end point is necessary for us to discuss what goes on into the pricing of a cake like this, and also what a realistic price looks like. I will also break down what informs the pricing, and you will find out that sometimes it's not just about the numbers, as in it's not just the cost of the ingredient and the time. It is also the immaterial or unseen value of the skill that comes on the cake. All right, so we'll break that down, but before we cut it, I'll say this cake was made for demonstration. It is not my best work. Let's face it, it's not my best work. And so that should factor realistically into the price point. Now, for hyper-realistic cakes, when people come to me for certain hyper-realistic cakes that I have never attempted before, I tend to proceed with the intention that there is room for improvement. Not that I am going to make my worst work, but it's important because sometimes when you are approached with a certain cake, you can trust your skill to deliver, but sometimes the value ends up increasing more than you quoted for. It's a thing that happens. And because hyper-realistic cakes sit on a spectrum of different items, it is unlikely that the same item is repeated over and over and over again. But certain items are still the same to produce anyway. For instance, a car cake. So whether I am producing a saloon old car that is very sentimental to a customer, or they want a car, a certain brand new car for their youngster, for their milestone birthday, the blueprint for creating the car remains the same. So the prices on such elements that can be repeated can remain almost the same or similar in different variations. But for instance, if someone brought me a truck, as in a long haulage truck, which requires so many elements, and that is probably one time that I can make that in a year for, say, a haulage truck company that is celebrating a milestone anniversary for the company, it is unlikely I'll be getting the same car in the year for, say, an individual. So some of the hyper-realistic cakes or realistic cakes I have recreated, for instance, when a guy was going for a trip to base camp on Mount Everest, he wasn't climbing the hill or the mountain or anything. He wanted to visit the base camp or something like that. It was something to do with Mount Everest, and they approached me to create a mountain-themed cake. I fancied the idea of creating some aspects of the mountain and the peak, and then creating the base camp with the flag and the man sitting somewhere on it. Now, the idea that the family wanted was initially going to be just a cake with the elements represented on it. But for the amount that it would require to carve a chocolate cake into a mountain peak and create it, I thought the difference wasn't very wide, and I really fancied making that cake anyway, which is the carved version as opposed to just the regular cake with the elements on it. So I discussed that with the family, who was so happy for me to kind of recreate their vision in a form that actually represented what they wanted. And in terms of value, if I was sourcing that particular cake that I ended up with, now the price would have been completely different. But of course, at the time, I was making a different consideration for the cake. So the price was slightly lower than what it would be. But here's the truth. When you start venturing into hyper-realistic cakes, right? Whatever you charge, as long as you're pricing yourself properly, because of the invaluable elements or the immaterial element of your skill, which adds to the value of the product, it is unlikely that you will price yourself so low that you can't make a profit on it. And that's something to note, because when people come to you for realistic representations of items, they know what they are paying for. So the argument for pricing and issues related to it isn't as combative as a regular cake, because the thing with a regular cake is not so much that the cake is not valuable or it's not created by a skilled person. The issue with cakes then like that is the perception of the customer's point of view, because customers, the people who will argue about how much a cake is and how expensive a cake is apparently, are not the people who perceive that value placed on a cake. They just think cake is flour and sugar. Plus, they don't value that it is such a luxury that they want to fork out for. And that sort of perception and attitude exists in all our lives, including myself. I will never understand why anybody will want to pay like £120 for a pair of socks. I do not care the brand name that is on the socks. It's a pair of socks. It's going to go on my foot. I'm going to walk around. It's going to get dirty. I'm going to put it in the wash. It will run and the one will get lost. It's socks. So I don't care whether it's Armani, it's Gucci, it's Balmain, whatever. Give me your latest it fashion name. If they're selling a pair of socks for 60 quid, let's face it, the truth is I cannot afford to pay £60 for anything. Okay. Oh Lord. Oh God, I've been yapping away and there's quite a bit of you in the chat. Hello there, hello, 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 hello. We're going to be cutting into this cake, but we are discussing the subject of what goes into pricing a cake, and I'm just giving you context to some of the things we kind of consider when making a cake like this. So if you're in the chat with me, stay with me, okay? Right? Oh, there's Haley. Haley, thank you for being here. Tabitha will keep you company. Tabitha and Steph, if you stick around, they will be your besties, okay? When I'm yapping away, it's kind of hard to kind of keep an eye in the chat, but I'll make an effort. There is Great Siraj. Is it Great Siraj? Cake is expensive. Normal families can look. Cake is a luxury. Do you need cake? Even though I make the thing, I'm not arguing you need cake. If you have to choose between your regular food shopping and the cake for your child's birthday, go and buy the cake in the shop for your child's birthday, okay? That is if you're struggling. The truth is, as a custom cake maker, I can tell you, yeah, it's not the most affordable item on the market, but it is also not reason for you to devalue my skill, okay? If one cannot afford a product, you just move on to the place where you can afford and there's no argument. And if you've been here, I am the first person to tell you that you don't need a cake that costs £300. You don't. Hello, you do not need a cake that costs £300. Goodbye. I say that in context though, okay? The context of you do not need £300 cake is if you know you cannot afford it, your budget will not allow you, it is not meaningful to you. List all the reasons you have to not buy it, and that's true and okay for you, okay? However, that is still not a reason for you to go down into the comment section of your favorite like creator or business owner who makes cakes that cost 500 and above and go like, oh, the cake is too expensive. Because try swap positions with them and try putting a single tiered cake together with the level of skill that will necessitate charging £500 and see if you could. So it's neither here nor there. I was just giving the example of how I will not pay £60 for a pair of socks. I do not care what label you put on the socks. So the same is true for what people perceive as valuable in their eyes. And the argument for whether they can afford or not afford is all true, to the point where you are not trying to either disrespect or devalue a business owner who is actually legitimately entitled to earning a living from a skill base that has been built over X amount of years of experience. That's all. That said, is it Cassandra? Cassandra is asking, is that a chocolate cake? I don't think so. It was a scrap cake that I put together. I cannot even remember what cake it was. So we're going to cut into it. You'll see. And there's how to spell mark. just like this stream and dropped some good energy. Oh dear, someone is going live right now. I respect the effort. Blessings to this creator and all the viewers who... Oh, how to spell Mark? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Same to you, and Happy New Year. Stop by sometime when you can. We really appreciate the positive energy you have shown us, and right back to you, and all the best, right? So let's talk about our cake. Okay, we've kind of gone on a tangent and we've shouted and shouted. But whilst you're here, okay, let me just make sure I'm in frame. Whilst you're here, can I make a polite request? Okay, if you can just stop and like the video. Okay, it tells YouTube that you've been here. It tells YouTube that you have stopped by to interact with us, and the fact that you like the video is an indication for YouTube to know that there is some amount of value you got from here, and so that will inform YouTube to kind of push it to other people who will need it. So please do that whilst we are at it. In the meantime, on the subject of cutting the cake, there are 2 suggestions in the chat. Tabitha quoted £200, and that's because Tabitha has been here before. Tabitha has been here before, and she's seen how much, or the price range of the near realistic cakes. So near realistic or realistic item, hyper realistic sort of takes it up a notch anyway. So with that in mind, this particular cake, I wouldn't charge the £200 for. You know why? Realistically, we'll have to go down the cake servings and then I will tell you the price. But the suggestion of 30 to 50 servings is inaccurate. This cake will not necessarily serve that much. And that's because there is a serving guide that cake makers have to adhere by, right? We almost always leave room for error. So your favorite cake maker will always give you a cake that serves more if they know what they're doing. But there is a cake serving guide that one has to adhere to. And so if you, the customer, chooses this cake and you want to serve 50 people with it, that is completely up to you. But my serving recommendations, which is the standard by which we determine the size of a cake against the number that it is going to serve, will not allow me to give this cake away to 50 people. It just isn't. But the thing about a realistic item, or a carved cake for that matter, is that I will say it is not normally aimed at serving every single individual. You know why? Because a carved cake is always going to, the starting point, as in the price point of a cake, a carved cake, is always aimed at meeting a specific emotional need of the buyer. And so they are paying more for the emotion that they can relate to the cake about. And then the rest is just for show. Okay? On top of that, one of the determining factors of a carved cake is the fact that it is always starting, the starting point of its price point is higher than your standard cake. And when I say standard cake, I'm talking about any cake that is in any shape or any kind of polished scale. As long as it's a regular shaped cake, we're talking your round, your hexagons, whatever. Your regular shaped cakes are always going to be less in terms of price point where it starts, because your regular shaped cake falls straight into the standard serving sizes, which then determines the price point depending on the business owner's pricing. But a carved cake, because it requires a level of skill, is always going to start from a higher price point. So to simplify that for you to understand is, for instance, if I'm charging £5 per serving for my regular sponge cake, depending on what that looks like, and I'm talking a fondant cake, because a fondant cake serving price is going to differ from a non-fondant. So let's just go by the example. If my fondant cake starts at £5 per serving for a regular cake, a carved cake is probably going to be about £6.50 or £7.50. And that's like, pricing is not on one, it's not a linear thing where if I'm using slices, price per slice to determine my pricing, it doesn't mean you should go by that. It really doesn't. Pricing comes with so many factors, but the standard for determining an accurate pricing for your cake should involve all your ingredients and materials used on the cake, plus a standard amount of time used to make the cake, and your other incidentals, plus a profit margin. There is a formula for creating your price structure. However, how you break that down to a customer is all up to you. So for instance, if I price a specific cake by say, okay, I'll give you a typical example. My regular shaped cake, say a round cake, regular shaped round cake to serve, let's say a minimum of 15 to 20, which is my basic standard serving for a small cake from me. A realistic price from just the most simplest design option will take that cake to about 90 to 95 pounds. It is unlikely that anybody would get a cake from me that costs less than 90 pounds. Okay, unless I revisit my price structure and sort of formulate my cake making processes. But at the moment, it is just unlikely that a cake from me will cost any less than 90 pounds for a serving of, say, a minimum of 15 to 20 people. Now, when I'm breaking that price point down to a customer, it doesn't matter how I break it down. What I know is that that 90 pounds has factored in all the elements of the structure, which includes my ingredients, the time to derive the cake, materials, a percentage of profit, and all the incidentals, which also includes gas and electric. But some of these things are kind of flexible. So for instance, that 90-pound cake, the starting price of that cake is about 50 pounds or 60 pounds to the customer. And then the 30 pounds is extra. But here's the secret. On the receipt, those extras are broken down to reflect the added things that a customer will be asking for. So the way I break down the price for a customer to see makes sense to me and the customer. But what actually went into the pricing is everything else. However, I cannot tell the customer I'm charging you, let's say 20p for the foil that I used. Does that make sense? So I just say all of that to say pricing is not one thing, it differs. And whatever you think about a cake maker's pricing, it makes sense to them. And as long as it continues to serve their customers and their customer needs and they're still in business, there's nothing to see here. That's all. That said, Sarah says, oh, have a great day. Sarah, thank you for being here, and you too, have a lovely day. That said, let's come back to this cake. So considering I am my own critic of my own cakes. So if someone brought me a Grinch cake to make, will I really make it? I don't know. It depends. Okay? And that's because for what a Grinch cake should be worth, this will be far less in terms of pricing for a customer, because the quality of work is not the best, at least in my eyes. So this will probably fall into the category of a child's cake if I was making it, if you like. Which kind of also, the moment it falls into a child's cake, sometimes considerably reduces the value. But back on the subject of what I was saying to Steph about the 50 servings, the standard guide that helps a cake maker determine pricing will not allow me to sell this cake for 50 people. It's just not possible. But say if you were the customer who bought this cake from me and you wanted to serve 50 people and you gave like just small slices to the celebrants and your guests, that's fine. I don't mind it, but I cannot, in good conscience, give you a cake this size to serve 50 people. So that's, I've just kind of like answered that. I think Tapeta suggested it will serve 25 to 30 people. I don't think it will go as far as 30, okay? My personal estimation, based on just regular servings, as in a little smaller than your dessert option, but bigger than a wedding slice option, I will estimate anything between 22 to 28. That's the guide that I will give here. But then again, we will cut into it and then we will see. My best guess for the smallest serving will be about 20. Stretch it a little more and there is 8 servings difference. That's I will stay between that option there. Maybe 20 to 24 instead of 22 to 28, because 22 to 28 is still like going to give you small servings. So I will say 20 to 24 based on my own experience of making cakes and cutting them. However, I haven't made a Grinch cake before, so we are going to find out in real time what this will serve. And then after that, I will give you the price that I'll be charging for a cake like this. With that said, before we cut into it, if you're just joining us, we have also made a roast chicken cake, but that is not complete. We are going to be garnishing this, and this is the part where I need your help to help me cheat and garnish this cake, and I will give you some more information about the cheating and what exactly we are doing. So if you're here with us, stick around and tell us what you think about our roast chicken. It's a roast chicken. I know because I'm moving it around, it doesn't make it look like roast chicken, but it is roast chicken. Look, it's roast chicken. If it was actually really roast chicken, it would be sliding off, wouldn't it? But yeah, a bit of it looks delicious. Yeah, I want to eat roast chicken. My people, let's get to it and then we'll see how many servings our cake. Lollipop is over there going juicy. Lollipop has something to tell us. Lollipop, do you fancy telling everybody the good news? Okay, before we cut the cake though, we need to boil some water. Ayam says it's delicious, my darling. We do nothing less than delicious over here, okay? Did I watch the yes? Is it? No, tell a lie. Not this. You know what? When I saw, did you watch Christmas this? I read the question, have you watched Grinch before? That's a yes, but not this Christmas. I was poorly. I wasn't even, look, the little producer had me watching Transformers, okay? Okay, so people, here is the announcement. People, here is the announcement. Pay attention. Lollipop says she got to try some cakes from us, and they were amazing. I mean, that's one of you. That's all. I don't want to make a sing song about it, okay? I don't. But whilst we're at it, can I politely ask you to just like the chat if you are enjoying our stream? And if you're new here, there is 15 of us in the chat. There is 15 of us in the chat. Lollipop, I don't have TV. I don't. I know I'm weird. I don't have TV. Oh! Well, now Lollipop is over here. Lollipop is over here doing some encouragement. She's like, if we get to making the cake jars available online for purchasers. She will be first to be on the order. Okay, so the reason why it took me a while to cut this cake is because I have to boil some water and then put the knife in so I can have a clean cut, which is something you should do if you're cutting your cake. A good tip, a really good tip for cutting your cake is to dip your cutting knife in warm water, give it a wipe, and then plunge it into your cake. It will give you a nice clean cut every time. Can you see how clean it comes out? I know when you are at a party, okay, where you are busy trying to serve everybody, that's not exactly your what you're thinking. But yeah, that's just a tip to take with you. That said, I also, whilst I was yapping on about the subject of cakes, I was saying, even though I am guided by sometimes the professional serving guide, carved cakes are just cut so that they are reasonably sized, but not because everybody has to have a piece. Does that make sense? Because the cost of them, they are always going to be more expensive, but the cost is also more about the skill and the emotion that the buyer is committed to investing in rather than the cake itself. But this was made from scrap cake, by the way, people. So don't judge me. The cake is falling apart. So let's see, right? Clearly, if someone bought this cake from me, they're not going to keep it for it to go stale, is it? So let's count the servings whilst we're at it. We have 2, 4, 6. And these are like very small servings. It's falling apart. 7, 8. This is very big. And then if this is not falling apart, that will be the knife serving. Okay, so let's just imagine this as 9 servings for now. And when you go to a party and a cake is cut, are you normally the person waiting for a side or a middle? What are you like? And do you like fondant? Because there are people who don't like fondant. We have 9 servings so far. Okay. Nice 7 so far. Now let's go. Ricardo is asking, do I love films? You know what? I don't have the attention for films, but I am developing the attention because of my son. Oh, he loves film. His dad loves film and he loves film too. So it's very heartbreaking. Parents, okay, let's not deviate. I'll come back to this subject. I was going to ask parents, if you don't enjoy doing something, but your kid likes it, how do you find a balance between doing it just for the sake of? Because it's a real thing. Okay, so that's 4 servings plus 9. We have 11. Is it? No, 4 plus 9, 13. We have 14 servings here. 15. Right? Somebody was asking in the chat what flavors they are. Well, this is scrap cake, but it's made from vanilla and red velvet, as you can see. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 15 servings so far. I am considering this the fact that if this cake was a whole cake, because this is made from scrap cake, it's kind of like a bit mushy. So that sort of affects how it comes through. But there you go. So if we cut through Grinches, okay, that is, let's have a look at a slice here, sort of, right? So the slices look something similar to this, or, so that will make it 16. or something like that. All right, but it depends on the portion. So that's 17. We have 18. 19, 20. We have 22 servings. I estimated 20 to 24 servings instead of my initial 24 to 28 servings. So a realistic amount of servings here is a minimum of 20 servings for this cake, which is your regular 4. If you had a 6-inch cake standing at 4 layers tall, measuring about 6 to 7 inches in height, that's 24 servings. So that is fair. So we have a minimum of 20 servings here, 20, which is not bad at all. But for about, this is a fondant cake which is carved. So for a serving of about 20 for the cake and what it looks like, reasonably, how much will I charge for it? Realistically, it will be a minimum price of about £135 to 150. But I think realistically, I will land at the £140 mark, which is a realistic price I will charge for this cake if I was to put my best skill at it. And that's simply because for this cake, there's not much to it besides getting the coloring and the details of Grinch right, which can give or take, which can be done very quickly and easily. But considering it hasn't actually, this particular cake hasn't brought out my best skill, a realistic price here is £140 to pay for this. So that should give you some sort of insight of how much this would be. And yeah, Grinch will serve 20 to 22, and Grinch, as per the way he's presented for Christmas, will be about £140 to pay. That's all. So we are now going to tip Grinch out. It's a shame. Actually, I say we are going to tip Grinch out, but I need to save some of Grinch so that we can take some photos, and then I can put that on the community post for your viewing pleasure. But for most part, let's put this away. And that brings an end to Christmas. Are you surprised by how much the price is? And what is most surprising to you about it? I'm just giving this a wipe, and then we are going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and Dawn, I know, you know what, Dawn, I keep confusing you. We have two Dawns here. We have our US Dawn and we have our UK Dawn, right? So I keep confusing. I have to almost like look at the name, as in not the Dawn, what follows, so that I can tell which is which. But even so, most of the time it confuses me. But I'm going to take a guess and say this is our UK Dawn. Is that right? If you're UK Dawn, just put a hand up in the chat. And Tatiana is back. Lovely. How are you? Good to have you. Happy New Year. We haven't seen you. Well, we haven't been here, so we can't even say we haven't seen you. How are you? Great to have you back now. Now that we have these, sis, okay, we are going to cheat. You'll be surprised. Put a hand up if you think you know what we are going to cheat about. Tell me. Okay, so that's our UK Dawn. So Dawn, I'll see you on the other side, because you know, okay, I'll come. Okay, I keep putting, if you've been here, you know, we go on a tangent. Okay, and sometimes when I go off on a tangent, I forget what I should be talking about. So now I make a mental note of keeping my tangents in small pockets so that I can come back to them. So one of the things I've kept on the side is, as a parent, how you do things for the love of a child, even if you don't enjoy them. And that's a real conversation, because we have real life conversations. And I'm a mom, right? I'm a mom, and there's a part of parenting and being a mom and feeling overwhelmed and sitting there and watching a movie you don't care about. But you have to do it for the love of the child. How do you manage? I need tips, people. We'll come to that. And then Dawn, being in the UK, Dawn, my UK people, we will have a conversation about cake jars and cakes on the website, because I need to, it's part of market research, because I need to know what your interests are so that I can serve you appropriately. It's 2026. We have to just make this a thing instead of just like playing around. So that's just by the way. Okay, Tatiana, welcome back. What have you missed? If you go back, you'll see we cut Grinch served 22, and Grinch would have cost £140, and that's because Grinch isn't our best representation of the work we want to do. But that is just by the way. Now I made this cake over here, and naturally after making that cake, it will just require me to make the other additions. We're talking the potatoes and the carrots and stuff. But you know what? After sitting there to do this miracle here, we're about to cheat. Okay, so I bought myself some fruit. I bought myself some carrots and sweet corn, which is going to be used to garnish this one. Okay, I am not even pretending that is cake. Okay, but you know, if I wanted to make a cake look like chopped carrots, I would. I just don't have the time nor the patience for it right now, because look, life is life. A girl has to manage. So we are putting some cooked veggies on it. You know what? That only makes for a good picture. That's all. The only reason I have gone for that is because it makes for a good picture. That's all. But this is chicken. I made all of that. Okay, we'll be cutting into it after I've taken the thumbnail picture and the video is out. So stick around. In the course of the week, we'll cut into this cake, because 2026, we are not trying to hoard. I'm trying not to hoard cakes over here. Okay. So this is a chicken cake. If you didn't know, I have already made a turkey cake before. It is already up on the channel. That's from years ago, and that's when I started the YouTube channel. It's a turkey cake. I made it look like a raw turkey. I put it in a, what did I put it in, if I remember? I put it in the foil tin, and then I hand painted it to look like a roast turkey, which I served on Christmas. The problem was it was a scrap cake, and yet I was determined to do that. Yeah, that looks like it is chicken. That's my dinner. Well, I take that back. It's not exactly chicken. It's cake, but it is chicken. And by the way, I went, you see, for all that effort, I roasted some potatoes too. I'm committed to the journey. And if you wonder if this is really, because look, if I was cheating, I would cheat right in front of you, which is what has brought us here in the first place anyway. But if you doubt whether this is chicken or not, you stick around. I will put a video out one of these days. You'll see. That's potato. I don't know. What should we... Because you know what? I'm also a little bit tight. I don't want to spend Because once they go on there, I can't eat them. So I don't want to put all of that on there. Yvette says you are confusing your message. What do you mean, darling? What do you mean I'm confusing my message? Because I don't want to assume for you, but what do you mean? It will be lovely to understand what you're saying, because you know what? The point is, I can make the potatoes and the vegetables from cake elements too, or edible items too. The point is, I don't desire to, because this is just for demonstration. So just bringing you along some of the ways you can kind of like cut corners. But of course, I could go and make one of these. But I guess you and I will appreciate how much time goes into this just for demonstration purposes. And I really don't fancy it. Plus, I don't have the time. So that's why I made a point of showing you this, so that you can see. That's the joy of being on the live. Because if I took a photo of this and posted it on a community post, unless you look at the detail, if I told you this was cake, you go, oh, that looks like cake, and that's it. But I have no interest to kind of like make up things that doesn't exist. So it's neither here nor there. Okay, so it's a chicken cake. Okay, it's a chicken cake. So here, if you're on the live, here's the focus. The chicken is cake. Okay, anything else you decide. That's all. It's a chicken cake. There you go. Welcome though. If you're new here, hello. We make cakes here. Now I feel like I have to defend my honor. And I feel like I have to at least try and make a potato. Should I or should I not? Not today. If I have to, it will not be today. I'll probably have to come back and make a potato and a carrot. Just so I have to defend my honor. But not today. Right? So the chicken was made... Actually, I'll tell you a bit about the chicken. I wanted to actually make the chicken as in a roast bird for Christmas. But I was poorly. If you've been here, you will know Christmas, I was very unwell. So I couldn't do it. And I had some scrap cake. I do really have I have a freezer full of scrap cake and I'm moving. So that's the thing. It's a challenge I have to get rid of. So I came to the kitchen one of these days, and in my quiet time, I thought I just wanted to kind of make it a chicken. And this is not new to me. I've made a roast bird before. So the elements here, imagine taking on something like this without planning. I didn't have the correct color of brown. And along the line, I just realized that I was feeling rather too unambitious, okay, to carry on. So the chicken itself is covered in marzipan instead of fondant. And the choice of marzipan against fondant was because marzipan comes with a bit of texture. If you know marzipan, it's made from, what is it? Look up what marzipan is. Marzipan has texture to it. It doesn't roll as finely as fondant. Plus the natural color of marzipan, which looks like, it's not cream, but it's like, it's darker than fondant, which is white. And I will have to color fondant. Plus, I didn't fancy doing that. I wanted to do this the simplest, most efficient way, employing my skill. And you'll be surprised if I tell you, you can do this yourself. Honestly. Because you know what? I walked into the kitchen. You will think this is made with so many superior tools. Much of it is about skill and imagination. Because I walked into the kitchen, I didn't fancy all the organizing. So I picked myself, the cake itself is carved out of scrap cake. And I didn't do the carving, by the way. It's cake that I squished together. So the cake started off as, what do you call it? Cake pop mix. I had, it's just a couple of cupcakes that I kind of squished together, added some ganache, and then I formed the chicken, which is a good tip if you're a beginner who is looking to get into realistic cakes. Carving takes skill. You have to understand proportions and what you're doing. But if you understand how to mold stuff, you can mold the chicken to the shape you desire without the endless amount of time spent carving it. So the tip here is to consider molding the chicken. So what and everything else was like just molding and attaching and then shaping things out and covering. But I filmed the process anyway. I'm hoping I will make time, because at the moment I'm kind of strapped for time and I just don't want to throw a video at you in a haste. So when I get it edited, it will be long form and you can catch up. Hopefully I should do a voiceover about it, so you'll get to see the entire process. But yeah, I just wanted to bring you along the garnishing of it so that you get to see exactly what the chicken cake looks like. What do you think? Yvette and Dawn, yeah, my UK based audience. If you're in the US, do you know, have you heard about marzipan? Somebody put what marzipan is in the chat, right? I don't have, I only had the small pack, the 500-gram pack of marzipan. So I don't have it to show over here. But the option of marzipan over here as a beginner, because for a cake like this, you want to be able to carve the skin, and fondant will do a good job. The problem though is that fondant comes as a white product. So to get the realistic shape, the realistic color of the chicken, you almost have to color it. And the layers of color that is required to get this is not as much as you think. If you're able to get the base right, the rest of it should be fine. Marzipan allows you to mold, you know, whilst also giving you some structure and texture to the skin, against modeling, what do you call it, modeling chocolate. The reason why I didn't opt for modeling chocolate is because I was just looking to do this for demonstration purposes, and modeling chocolate is a huge undertaking. It's expensive to start with, plus the cake was scrap cake. I was going to do all of this and throw it away. So I was looking for a cost-effective way to bring the skill to light without having to spend more than I need, which is why I didn't go for modeling chocolate. But if I was doing it for a customer, I would probably go for modeling chocolate mixed with fondant, because then that you have the pliability, but it also cuts costs and will also help. Marzipan does have a sort of aftertaste that is strong and can clash with your cake flavors. So I don't recommend marzipan unless it's going to be used on a cake, like a cake that will naturally take on the flavor of it. So for instance, if you wanted to make a fruit cake, for instance, for Christmas, and then you fancied upgrading the fruit cake to a chicken cake like I have done here, then of course use marzipan. It's actually workable and will do the job. But if you have a red velvet cake, you don't want marzipan on it, because marzipan has a very strong flavor to it that not everybody likes. I don't like marzipan. I love it for what it will help me achieve. So that is by the way. So anyway, this is me cheating on the cake, but that's barely cheating because the rest is skill, okay? Plus, in future videos, I may come back and show you how to make a potato and the vegetable. Of course, if I was doing the vegetable myself, like carving it, I wouldn't do this. I will have to think of it differently. For instance, I would have to make the carrot as in a realistic carrot and probably cut the carrot up. So the garnishing will be less as shown here. And if I did it myself, as in the garnish, if I had to handcraft it from edible items, the point is they will be used as highlight in the background instead of covering, because this is a lot of work and I really don't fancy wasting that amount of time. But of course, if someone was paying me to kind of deliver a chicken cake that looks like this, then of course they're paying for my time, so I'm not complaining. It's neither here nor there. But my goal for undertaking the project, simply so that you can understand where I'm coming from, was simply to derive a beginner-friendly way of doing this, and also to kind of give you tips on how you can trick people easily without having to go the extra mile. So if you are new to decorating and you wanted to make a chicken cake like this, and you amassed all your strength to make the cake, then of course feel free to go and cheat. Okay, it's all right, nobody's complaining. They will remember the chicken, by the way. See, Dawn has made vegetables out of icing before. Yes, you know what? Don't tell them unless you enjoy it. You know what, I enjoy the idea of tricking people, but it's not exciting to sit there boringly doing this. I don't. At least that's honest. It's not exciting. So I will cut my time if I have to. But either way, it's a pleasure to be able to do it. Okay, so marzipan is sweet, pliable, and made from ground. The word I was looking for was ground almonds. Okay, yeah. The almond paste, the almond can be too strong. Yep. Is it pepper? Is it pepper? Pepper seed. Some of the names. Pepper seed is right. Yep. I did mention that marzipan works well with a fruit cake. Royal icing carrot for a carrot cake. Yep. Would that be iced carrots that you kind of created from piping, or you mold them from the icing, royal icing, Dawn? Let me just look at some of the questions. Oh, Yvette will say, oh, you've got my subscription. Thank you. Look, you were talking to me in the chat and there I was. Yep. Okay, let me just go back and see what I have missed in the chat. Tabitha is not mad at cake dinner. Me neither, darling. Me neither. Look, all you out here trying to save a sister, thank you so very much. Yep. Right, so our chicken cake is done and you guys did help me cheat. Something I will be owning up when I make the video out of it. But like I said, I will defend my order and come back and make a roast potato that looks like this. Just one. I'm not going to spend a long time doing it. Just so whatever happens to this roast chicken, I'm going to save one of these, and I have a carrot. And then I'll come back and we can mold a carrot and make some potato like this. Just so that you know I can, okay? But let's see what our there's always something happening. Okay, it's dinner time. By the way, whilst I'm over here going on about okay, I don't know, can you see? I want you to see what. Okay, I think you can see now. I want you to be able to see what I am looking at. If you're just joining the chat, I'm going to get myself a fork and a knife. No, let's not take it that far. We are not doing a mukbang. Is it a mukbang or whatever? When people just sit there and eat for the sake of it. Love before, hello. Thank you for joining us. There is Sheila. Is it Sheila? Love before, Sheila. Hello. Welcome to the stream. It's time for lunch. What are you having for lunch, people? Are, are you ready with is your lunch ready? Get your lunch and let's dig in. I think I'm getting a bit too excited about my prospect here. Okay, so people, I was saying, for those of you who are parents in the chat, I was asking about how do you do things for the sake of the child? And by the way, for those of you who don't have kids, take notes, okay? Because I have been a parent for only 8 years because my son is 8. And can I tell you, there are so many things I probably didn't know about parenting, because it involves listening to conversations that you don't really care about. It involves like pretentiously being involved in a world you would rather exit out of so quickly. How do you do it? For the internet, that tends to misrepresent intentions and actually loses context, because the internet is a place where context and reality goes to die. So I'm not complaining about being a parent, just so you know, okay? I am not. I am just pointing out an aspect of parenting that requires a lot more of you sometimes, you know, because let me tell you something. My day started at 7 a.m. and that's late. Okay, 7 a.m. is still late for me. Normally my day starts at 4 because it's all consuming, and I'm a single parent, by the way, just so you know. So at the moment, if I wake up at 7, which allows me 40 minutes before my son gets up. I'm just giving you context to something that is real in my life because I need the help. I'm not lying. So I wake up at 7 and there's 40 minutes between when I wake up and when my son is up too. Because at 7, I need to wake up, do my exercise, whatever I need to do, get ready, shower before he's up. Because if I miss that window, everything is playing catch up. School started today. So he goes to school, and that's between the hours of 8:30 and 9:30, whatever that looks like, depending on what my choices for the day is. So my mornings don't start in terms of what I'm doing, whether I am here or editing, whatever else it looks like. My morning doesn't start officially until, let's say, 10 o'clock. And if I'm on a live, I have from 10 to 1, which is 3 hours. So depending on editing or what I have to do, those 3 hours are very tight. Between 4 and 8 p.m., there is nothing I can do. But even after 8 p.m., when we are supposedly getting to bed and all of that, I have till, so let's just say if I sign off here and he comes back from school, give or take, the hours of 3 till 9 p.m. are child-centered times. Whatever my goals and dreams and aspirations are, by 9 o'clock, sitting there to edit, my brain is tired. So by 8 o'clock, when we are calming down, I do not have the strength to listen to a story, like a random story about, say, puppets. What is that? So my point is, the struggle is, how do you maintain that momentum when you feel like, oh, kid, can you just shh for 5 minutes? Can you? I'm just asking a genuine question. A girl is tired, okay? Don't worry, my dinner will be all right. Okay. Sheila is saying it's not, oh, Yvette is like, you should demand gravy. Oh, we'll add the gravy later. I will have to make gravy. I promise I will make the gravy. I promise I'll make the gravy. But right now, I'm thinking of how do we make the gravy? without having to make real gravy, because I'm not trying to cheat with the gravy. Okay, a bit of sugar syrup, I think. You can add food coloring to a thick sugar syrup, but I think what I might want to do is add, just to get the gravy color, I'll add black treacle to corn syrup, and then add a bit of warm water, and it will give me the consistency of gravy. Yeah. Dawn. Thank you for that perspective. And I think that sort of ends the conversation. Okay, I am not laughing because of what Dawn has said there. No, I'm laughing because sometimes, you know what? We can be so focused on our own, like, perceived struggle, and we think that moves the world. Because imagine being a mom and having to feed your baby through a gastro tube. You are not supposed to like it. And think about the mental strain and angst and anxiety and the concern you have for this baby. And you do it. And I'm over here. I have to listen to a story and watch a film. Thank you, Dawn. That's it. Charles. Charles Brown. I'm here for the accent and the smile. You're welcome. We are supposed to be making gravy. Are we or are we not? Are we? Are we making the... I don't think we're making gravy. We're not making gravy. I'll make the gravy too. I'll make the gravy, and then I will, yeah, when the full length video comes out, you'll see the gravy. So yeah, but right now our chicken, Tapita says, I just want to eat all the cake. You know what? This could just be your cake and healthy eating. Imagine if this was actually cake I could eat, because remember, we're not eating this cake because it's scrap cake, okay? But remember, if we had to eat that and it's real cake, and yet we had the veggies, that would be good reason to eat your veggies if you really don't like veggies. Dom says gravy, gravy, chocolate custard. You know what? The mediums from which, like, foods can be recreated to support cake is just amazing. Look at me thinking corn syrup. The reason why I am choosing corn syrup and black treacle is because I'm not eating the cake and I don't want to spend. Okay. So if I was to do it, I would choose corn syrup and some black treacle. It's thick already, and then I will dilute it with just a little bit of warm water. But if I had chocolate sauce, as in chocolate dessert sauce, I will add a bit of that. And that's just because we talk about intention here. So the intention here is to kind of find the medium that supports my tight nature to not spend and throw it away, okay? But of course, if I was making this cake as a cake that would be eaten by, say, a customer or anybody, then of course the suggestions about what I could make this out of are just endless. So it's neither here nor there. But yeah, so the last subject I kind of pocketed to the side. We're talking about the cake jars. Here's a realistic question. There's 20 of you in the chat. right? Now, if I had 20 people every week buying cake jars, at least a minimum of, say, 3 jars from me, 20 people, I will have a business, okay? I will. So here's a question for you. Would you be interested? I've asked this question before, but since the last time, we have grown so much, right? Because this was nearly, I think, 6 months ago when I was looking, when the move was happening, it was like, okay, we have to then work at transitioning completely. And that's still in the process, but things have slowed down. And because I'm in the space of a transition, I don't want to make an investment yet, but the back end stuff has to happen. So yes, here is the thing. For my UK based audiences, the thing with posting cake just to the US, I think there's a logistical and tax issue. So for the short term future, that may not be possible, but that doesn't mean you are excluded. Okay, so right now, just to be honest, if I wanted to launch an online shop with items to post, they will just be limited to the UK, at least for now, because the product is perishable, and I want to kind of optimize the turnaround time from production to you very quickly. And Lollipop and I had conversations about the postage, and I'll give you some real figures, because the box that the jars were transported in were some custom boxes I ordered a while back, and those were also aimed at when I was launching the shop. If you didn't know, when I started cake making, I had the option of a market that would eventually grow into the possibility of having a shop. COVID happened, all that fell apart. 2 years after COVID in 2022, I still had the option to trial out a shop front somewhere about 30 minutes away from me. But the test period was during a Christmas sale, a Christmas market time, which by the 2 weeks I was burnt out. It was, oh God. So after that, I kind of clawed back, and that's where I've been since. So the decision to have a shop front has somehow revisited me somehow along my journey. I haven't been always been proactive about it or been willing to proceed, because at the moment things are hard, and having a shop front and the cost and overhead, and realistically as a business, do I want to have a shop front? Not in the short term future. Not in the short term future, just so that, because when you look at business cost, it's not easy, especially in this climate. So my goal as a business owner is to consider having an online shop where you can have the postal items for now, and then as the audience and the market grows, I can be able to then determine what that will look like if we can replicate that in a shop front. But that's not even something I'm considering in the short term future. That's like real long-term goals. We're headed to 10,000 subscribers here, and I'm incredibly grateful for your support. So the question is, maybe I have to make a poll. What's your reason for sticking around? Is it just for the fun and games and what we do here? Because of course, what we do here, it's in itself value. If I had no products to sell, you're still learning about cakes, you're understanding the business of cake making, you're seeing the raw moment. So our presence here is not to be devalued in any form. It's real value, and I understand that. But if I don't understand why you are here, and I went and I had an online shop where I had cakes for you to sell, cakes for you to buy, that may not be something that is attractive to you. So it will be like, what's the point? Should I focus on a different form of targeting, or this is something you would really be interested in? Because if you've been here for a long time, you will know that my goal has always been to serve you first, right? So ultimately, if a poll determines that what you are here for is to watch what we do, let's keep the fun going. And then I will answer your cake questions, and we'll have cake bake along days and whatever it looks like over here. and then we will look at the other options of setting up, because then that will be a different targeting audience. But in the short term, I think I will have to derive a poll, and then we can have a conversation about it. But the work on the website to kind of optimize it for pre-orders is something that has started. I don't want to preempt it. When it all happens, I will be back to let you know. So as the days are going and you're still here, I will be asking the question just so that it can help me stay informed about where we are headed. But whatever happens, I'm still happy to have you here. And yeah, for my UK-based audience, just keep an eye on that. And when the pre-orders happen and it opens, I'll let you know for sure. Okay. So yeah, Christmas was fun, and it was really, really a pleasure to send off some of the cake samples. And they were actually some of the cakes I had made here, and I just wanted somebody to have a taste of what I feel like over here. So who knows, maybe, just maybe, I might end up creating like a raffle draw on a weekly basis, and if you are UK based and I pick you, you can get a box too. I don't want to overpromise it, but that might just be also a way to give back, because why not? All right. So yeah, that is just cake and Christmas and everything else. I think I'm missing something here. Ooh, Amazon. You know what? TikTok tells me a lot about Amazon parcels being delivered. I think I saw I think I'll tell you this before we go. Someone told me, I saw something on TikTok where a phone, like a modern phone, was delivered to a neighbor. The person whose phone it wasn't around, so the phone was delivered to their neighbor, and for whatever reason the tracking update said it was at the neighbor's, and this person checked, because these days when they deliver they check and there's a photo and all that, so all the information points out to the neighbor having collected this phone. Now this person went to knock on the neighbor's door. The neighbor could see them, but the neighbor didn't come out and they didn't give the phone. Can you imagine having a neighbor like that? And they're looking at you and you know they have the phone. I'm like, this is taking stealing in broad daylight to a whole new level. Lollipop says, I didn't get a photo of it being handed. Okay. Right, not exactly Amazon, unless you have the Amazon app, because some of the companies, I know Avery and DHL do this. Is it Avery, DHL, and I forget what the other one. There are other ones, and it's actually a thing. So if they drop it, so for instance, when I get a post, the postman knocks at the door. And before I could get down, because sometimes they can see me in the kitchen or they can see me in my lounge, they knock on the door, they drop the parcel, and then they just move. So by the time I get to it, they're gone. But when I get the email and the update that says your parcel has been delivered, it has a photo of the parcel right in front of my door. So some of them do, not necessarily Amazon, but if you have the Amazon app, it will tell you, because you can order stuff from Amazon. It will update you via text and via email. But if you have the Amazon app, it will tell you. It will put a photo there to tell you. Is it money? Let me just say money. Money. Why will it matter whether the chicken is male or female? It's chicken. Why will it matter whether it's male or female? Have you got... I was just going to ask, have you got something against eating male and female chicken? I don't know. Well, the thing about a chicken cake is that you get to interpret the chicken and put your own spin on it. So, male or female, that is yours to take. Most chickens are female. Lollipop, you would know. Lollipop says, most chickens are female because the males are not profitable. You don't say. On that note, we'll be back tomorrow. Chicken or not, all right? Thank you for being here and happy baking. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. That's how nuggets are made. Okay, don't go yet. I'm going to turn the camera. I'm going to turn the camera so that you can see the chicken close up. So stay there with me 1 second. Okay, we have the chicken. Okay, oh, that's the chicken. Okay. So all I did was for just this view, okay? So that you could see the chicken. You could see the chicken that is not exactly a chicken. Okay? Okay, what do you think? Do you think you can see chicken? All right. Well, turns out it's a female chicken. On that note, like the video and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, people.